Yeah, what's going on YouTube? Thank you for coming to my channel. My name is Wally, and you are now tuned into Playboy Hustlers TV.
Hey, this the king of melodies beat.
Yo, today we got some Joe Rogan where he sat down and talked with Robert Kennedy Jr. You understand what I'm saying? For all those who don't know who he is, that's JFK's nephew, alright? So let's see what he's gonna say about his uncle. You know he's gonna drop some official truth. You understand what I mean? Pay attention, people. Let's go.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
My uncle, John Kennedy, did that. He refused to go to war. So he was surrounded by military-industrial complex, and he learned very early and an intelligence apparatus that he realized early on that the purpose of the CIA and the intelligence apparatus was to create a constant pipeline of new wars for the military-industrial complex. 3 days before he took the oath of office, Eisenhower, who was the outgoing president, gave what is probably the most important speech in American history, which was, where he warned against the military-industrial complex. I was at my uncle's inauguration. I was in Washington that day.
I know he saw a lot. I know he can tell us so much, but it's a lot of things he probably got to hold out on. You understand?
As a 6-year-old boy, and I was sitting on the stands behind him in front of him during his inauguration. And he understood that. And 2 months later, the military and intelligence came to him and said, we got to invade Cuba. And he was like, I'm not going to Cuba, and I'm not going to let the military. And they said, well, we got all these Cubans trained, and they're going to go attack Castro.
Yeah, they've been trying to get Castro for the longest. You understand what I mean? Don't forget, Tupac is right now in Cuba, hiding, chilling. You know what I mean? Because, they got no extradition. You know what I mean? So, ever since that happened, you know what they did to them? They cut all ties, try to hurt them in the pockets. Yo, man, listen, our country is wicked, only if you knew.
And he said, well, we can't, the U.S. government can't be doing that. We can't be attacking. I don't like what Castro's doing down there, but it's not the United States' job to dictate what kind of governments other countries have.
Don't forget, remember, they opened it up and then they closed it right back. I don't know if y'all remember, but they were saying they released some type of EMF waves or something like that, and a lot of people started getting headaches over there. So look that up. I know I'm not tripping. Look it up.
And they said, well, as soon as they land, there's going to be a big revolution. Everybody's going to rise up and they're going to overthrow Castro. And he said, well, you can't use the U.S. military. And they ended up bringing those guys over with United Fruit boats. And in the middle of it, in the night, they came to him and said, they're getting wiped out on the beach, and you need to send in the military and invade. And he said, we're not going to do it. And he stepped out of that meeting, and he realized they had been lying to him. And
at that point, that's when it was like, they got to get rid of this guy. He was a problem, and he was going to expose way too much, more than what he did.
And he realized they had been lying to him and trying to trick him. And he said, I want to take the CIA and shatter it into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. And then, for the next 1,000 days of his presidency, he was at war with his military and intelligence apparatus. They tried to get him to go into Laos. He said no. They tried to get him to go into Vietnam with combat troops. They said that we need 250,000 combat troops. He refused. Everybody around him wanted him to go into Vietnam. He sent 16,000 military advisors. That's fewer people than he sent to get James Meredith into Ole Miss in Jackson, Mississippi, to get one black man into school. He sent fewer in Vietnam. They weren't allowed to fight. Many of them did. They violated the rules of engagement. In October of 1963, he heard that some of his Green Berets had been killed over there. And he said, I want a total casualty list from Vietnam.
And they don't even teach this in school. They don't even say it. They don't even speak a word of it now. You know what I mean? It's crazy. We got to protect this man at all costs. He has a lot of information in that head, yo.
And his aide came to him and said, 75 Americans have died. He said, that's too many. And he signed that day a national security order ordering all troops out of Vietnam, U.S. troops. the first 1,000 over the next month, and then the rest by the beginning of 1965. And then a month later, he was killed. So, but what his view was is that he believed that the view of Americans abroad should not be, a soldier with a gun. It should be a Peace Corps volunteer building, wells, and it should be USAID helping poor people, and it should be Alliance for Progress building middle class. And that's what he did. And
he was a visionary. He had a good vision. Unfortunately, they stopped it way too soon.
And that's what he did. And he started the Kennedy Milk Program to give nutrition to poor kids all over the world. As a result of that, in Africa today, there are more statues to John Kennedy, more boulevards named after him, more hospitals, schools, universities, avenues in all the major cities named after him than any other president. And that is the Chinese have taken that template and done the same thing now. And they are, all these countries that were supposedly allied with us are now realigning with the Chinese, and they're switching to their currency.
Pay attention, people. Follow the money. The money will tell you the truth, you hear me?
Are now realigning with the Chinese, and they're switching to their currency because the Chinese are not there to kill people. They're there, to build roads, to build universities, to build colleges.
They did it to make money. Although they are a communist country, look, they can keep that situation to where they are, but hey, they're about making money.
And it turns out that people like that a lot more. And, we should be projecting economic power around the globe and not military power. It will make us much stronger.
But what do you think happens when you get into office? Like, if you're talking about your uncle who's assassinated and you believe the intelligence agencies were a part of that, what happens to you?
Well, I gotta be careful.
Yo, I don't even want him to run for office, for real. Just tell us about all the information you know before you try to do all that, man.
I'm aware of that, and I'm not, I'm aware of that danger, and I don't live in fear of it, at all. But I'm not stupid about it, and I take precautions.
That's smart. That's smart right there. Word. I hope you run around with a lot of security. You hear me? Yeah, man. So with that being said, the more you think you know, you got to keep learning. Sometimes you have to unlearn and relearn, because the stuff they taught us is really not what it is. You know what I mean? If you keep that in your mind, it's going to give you a hard time trying to accept the real new information, because you're going to always debate. You know what I mean? If you think I deserve a chance, make sure you hit that like. Definitely subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, all right? Another thing, make sure if you want to support the channel, I got the links in the description. You could buy me a coffee, or you could go ahead and be a member and join me on Patreon, all right? I will see you on the next one. Love, y'all.